Agent Luz Herrera's past was a secret. Her colleagues at Border Patrol didn't know where she came from or what experience she had. Until that evening when they fell into a cartel ambush and Luz's true identity was revealed. But to understand that moment, we need to start the story from 3 months earlier. Back then, Luz still seemed like just an ordinary border agent. Welcome to Stories of Honor. Before we begin this powerful story of hidden military past, border security, and life-saving marksmanship, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from today, and if you believe stories like this need to be told, hit that subscribe button and help us keep these stories alive. 3 months ago, September 2024. At the McAllen sector on the Texas-Mexico border, under the scorching heat of the sun, a new agent orientation program was being conducted at the Border Patrol station. A 30-year-old, medium-height, dark-skinned woman stood in line with other new agents. Luz Herrera stood quietly and modestly in her standard Border Patrol uniform. Her black hair was in a neat ponytail, her face showing a serious but calm expression. While the other new agents beside her, mostly male, mostly with military backgrounds, were sharing their experiences with each other, Luz just listened. First day excitement, said Agent Kevin Torres, 26 years old, Army veteran. Where are you from, Herrera? San Antonio, Luz said briefly and clearly. Do you have police experience? Asked Agent Marcus Webb, 29 years old, fresh out of Marines. No, said Luz. I come from the civilian sector. Agent Patricia Knox, 32 years old, the only other woman in the program, approached Luz. I was from the civilian sector too. It'll be a tough adaptation, but we can make it together. Luz smiled. I hope so. Supervisor Agent Daniel Castillo, 40 years old with 15 years of Border Patrol experience, gathered the group. Welcome, new agents. This isn't a game. You'll deal with cartels, human traffickers, drug dealers. Your lives will be at risk. Luz listened carefully. She had heard this type of briefing before. In a different uniform, in a different country, but with the same seriousness. The training program would last 6 weeks. Firearms training, tactical operations, border security protocols, cultural awareness. Luz participated quietly in every module, answered questions, passed tests. But she never stood out. Herrera's a quiet one, Torres said to Webb after training. Wonder what she's thinking. Maybe she's nervous, said Webb. Could be her first time using a weapon. But Luz wasn't new to using weapons. She was getting perfect scores in firearms training, but nobody noticed because she was deliberately trying not to draw attention. 2 months ago, October 2024. After training was completed, Luz was assigned to the McAllen sector. Her first partner was Agent Rebecca Flores, 34 years old, an experienced agent with 7 years of Border Patrol experience. Hello partner, said Rebecca, meeting Luz. I'll observe you in the field. Don't worry, everyone gets nervous at the beginning. Luz nodded. Thank you. I'm ready to learn everything. The first weeks consisted of routine patrols. Border fence control, suspicious activity reports, occasional migrant apprehensions. Luz followed protocols in every assignment, didn't show initiative, just followed instructions. Herrera's good but passive, Rebecca said to Supervisor Castillo in the weekly evaluation. She doesn't take initiative, doesn't show leadership qualities. It takes time, said Castillo. It's hard for those coming from the civilian sector to adapt. But Luz wasn't trying to adapt. She was trying to hide. Because her real past was much more complex and had secrets that couldn't be shared. 1 month ago, November 2024. Luz had now gotten used to the routine. Every morning 6 a.m. shift, border patrol routes, paperwork, return home. An ordinary border agent life. Her colleagues described her as reliable but unremarkable. But one night everything would change. On a cold November evening, Luz and Rebecca were on evening patrol. Standard route along the Rio Grande River, radio checks, thermal imaging surveillance. A normal night. Movement detected in Sector 7, said dispatch over the radio. Possible illegal crossing. Copy, responding, said Rebecca. She turned to Luz. Ready? This will be your first action. Luz nodded. Ready. When they arrived at the location, shapes could be seen in the darkness. Thermal showed that 8 people were trying to cross the border. Border Patrol. Stop! Rebecca shouted. The group began to panic. Some tried to run while others lay on the ground. But 2 people pulled out guns. Guns! Rebecca shouted, trying to take cover. At that moment, Luz's training kicked in. But not Border Patrol training. Different training. Her body went on autopilot. Movement patterns, threat assessment, tactical positioning, all were muscle memory. Luz took perfect cover position, drew her weapon, assessed the situation. 2 armed suspects, multiple civilians, partner in danger, limited cover options. Rebecca, move to left flank. Luz shouted, suddenly taking charge. Rebecca was surprised but complied. There was authority in Luz's voice, command presence. The first suspect fired, the bullet passed by Luz. Luz didn't return fire. She waited, determined position, calculated clean shot. When the second suspect began to aim at Rebecca, Luz moved. Single shot, knocked the suspect's weapon from his hand. Perfect precision, non-lethal but effective. Drop your weapons. Luz commanded, her voice cold and controlled. Both suspects immediately complied, hands up. All clear, Luz said into the radio. 2 suspects detained, no casualties. Rebecca was looking at her, mouth open. Luz, that was incredible. How did you? Training, Luz said simply. But Rebecca's expression remained doubtful. That wasn't basic training. That was advanced tactical training, possibly military. 2 weeks ago, end of November. After that night, the perspective on Luz began to change. Supervisor Castillo called her to his office. Herrera, last week's performance was impressive. You have hidden talents. Just adrenaline, sir. Lucky shots. Lucky shots? You disarmed both weapons with perfect precision. That's expert-level marksmanship. Luz felt uncomfortable. Training was intensive, sir. Castillo studied her. Herrera, your background check doesn't show military service. But the way you move, it's familiar. Sir? Nothing. Keep up the good work. But Castillo was suspicious. That performance didn't come from civilian training. Meanwhile, Luz was gaining reputation among her colleagues. Herrera's got skills, they were saying. But Luz didn't want this attention. She was trying to maintain a low profile. 1 week ago, early December, Luz's partner Rebecca was changed. Her new partner was Agent Tommy Ramirez, 30 years old, ex-Army Ranger. Experienced combat veteran. I heard good things about Herrera, Tommy said on the first day. Apparently you have natural talent. People exaggerate, said Luz. But Tommy had an experienced eye. He was observing Luz's movement patterns, weapon handling, situational awareness. You were in the military, Tommy said one evening, direct question. No, said Luz. Bullshit. You've had professional training. Advanced tactical training. Civilian academy doesn't teach this level. Luz hesitated. Tommy was showing persistence. Complicated, she said finally. Most military stories are. But Luz wasn't giving details, keeping her past classified. Now, December 15, 2024. That evening, Luz and Tommy were doing routine evening patrol. Sector 12, border fence near Far, Texas. Quiet night, minimal activity. Central, this is Unit 47, Tommy said into the radio. Patrol Route 12 Alpha, all clear. Copy Unit 47. Continue patrol. Luz was scanning outside from the window. Thermal imaging, night vision, standard surveillance. Everything looked normal. Then she saw headlights. In the distance, approximately 2 miles south. Multiple vehicles, high speed, approaching the border. Tommy, look south. Multiple contacts. Tommy raised binoculars. Shit. That's not migrants. That's armed convoy. Central, Unit 47. Multiple armed vehicles approaching border. Request immediate backup. Copy Unit 47. Backup en route. Maintain distance, do not engage. But the vehicles suddenly changed direction. Directly toward their position. They spotted us, said Tommy. We need to move. Now. Tommy started the engine, but it was too late. Muzzle flash from the first vehicle, automatic weapons fire. Contact. Taking fire. Tommy shouted into the radio. Bullets were hitting the vehicle. Tommy took evasive action, but they were surrounded. We're trapped, said Tommy. Multiple hostiles, automatic weapons. Where's our backup? 20 minutes out, came the radio response. We don't have 20 minutes. The vehicle engine was hit, smoke rising. They were going to have to bail out and take defensive positions. Ready, said Tommy. Luz nodded. But her mind was already switching modes. Survival mode. Combat mode. The mode she hadn't used for 3 years. They exited the vehicle, took cover behind the engine block. 8 armed men approaching, AK-47s, tactical gear. Professional cartel operation. Tommy began to return fire. But he was outgunned and outnumbered. Luz, radio for emergency support. But Luz wasn't reaching for the radio. She was assessing the situation. 8 hostiles, multiple automatic weapons, defensive position compromised, partner suppressed, backup 20 minutes away. Time for truth. Luz slowly reached for her secondary weapon. Not standard issue border patrol sidearm. Custom precision rifle, disassembled, hidden in gear bag. What is that? Asked Tommy, seeing the unfamiliar weapon. Long story, said Luz, rapidly assembling the rifle. Custom scope, precision barrel, specialized ammunition. Military-grade sniper system. Tommy watched in amazement as Luz transformed. Calm, focused, professional. This wasn't border agent Luz. This was someone else entirely. Luz took prone position, scoped through the vehicle window. Range finding, wind calculation, target prioritization. Muscle memory from a different life. First shot. 400 meters. Led hostile down. Second shot. 450 meters. Automatic weapon silenced. Third shot. 500 meters. Command structure disrupted. Tommy was staring. What the fuck? Luz, you're a sniper. Former, said Luz, continuing engagement. Fourth shot. Fifth shot. Sixth shot. Each one precision, each one tactical, each one professional. Remaining hostiles retreating, calling for extraction. Targets neutralized, Luz said calmly. Area secure. Tommy was speechless. Who are you? Luz slowly disassembled the rifle, returned to standard weapon. Agent Luz Herrera, Border Patrol. That's not an answer. Backup arrived, scene secured, reports filed. But Tommy's questions continued. The next day, Supervisor Castillo called Luz to his office. Tommy beside him. Herrera, yesterday's engagement was remarkable. 8 armed hostiles neutralized, 0 casualties on our side, professional precision. Team effort, sir. Bullshit, said Tommy. You single-handedly eliminated an entire cartel squad. With a weapon that's not standard issue. From distances that are impossible for normal agents. Castillo leaned forward. Herrera, time for truth. Who are you really? Luz took a deep breath. 3 months of hiding, finished. Former Marine Corps Force Reconnaissance. Scout Sniper School graduate. 2 deployments Afghanistan, 1 Iraq. Classified operations. Complete silence. How many confirmed? Asked Tommy quietly. 47, said Luz. All combat zones. Castillo whistled. Why border patrol? Why hide military background? PTSD issues. Wanted quiet life. Civilian career. Help people instead of other things. Tommy nodded understanding. But last night reminded me who I am. Sometimes quiet life isn't an option. Sometimes you have to be who you trained to be. Castillo thought. Herrera, we need agents like you. Real experience, real skills. Would you consider specialized assignment? What kind of assignment? Anti-cartel operations. High risk, high reward. Use your expertise properly. Luz considered. 3 months trying to be someone else. But maybe being herself was the better option. I'll think about it, said Luz. Tommy smiled. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're on our side. Luz returned the smile. Me too. Later that evening, Luz sat on her porch, looking at the stars. The phone rang. Restricted number. This is Colonel Morrison, Marine Corps Personnel Command. Agent Herrera? Yes, sir. Heard about yesterday's engagement. Outstanding work. We have a position opening. Special operations, classified level. Interested? Luz thought. Border patrol, Marines, civilian life, military life. Choices. Sir, I'm happy where I am. Serving community, protecting border. That's enough. Understood. Offer remains open. Luz hung up. Sometimes the best service isn't the most dramatic. Sometimes it's everyday protection, community safety, quiet heroism. The next morning, she returned to work. Partner Tommy, routine patrol, border security. Ready for a normal day? Asked Tommy. Define normal, said Luz, grinning. Fair point. The radio crackled. Unit 47, respond to Sector 8. Suspicious activity reported. Copy. En route. Luz checked her gear. Standard issue weapon, backup systems, radio, vest. And hidden rifle, just in case. Because some days you're a border agent. Some days you're a Marine. Some days you're both. Let's go protect people, said Luz. Roger that, partner. Have you ever had to hide who you are? Did skills from your past save lives at unexpected moments? Share in comments. If this story touched you, subscribe to Stories of Honor. We'll continue telling stories of extraordinary service. See you in next story. Until then, show persistence in challenges. Because protecting borders requires extraordinary heroes.